Welcome back. And, well, she doesn't need any introduction, does she?
Nah.
Janet is in the house, looking very gorgeous.
Oh, wow. Thank you,
in
Auntie.
her peach and black.
Thank you so much.
Good morning,
Good
Janet.
morning,
Are you headed for a meeting or for a party?
It's obvious which one she's going to, you know.
Great. Good morning. We're talking about meeting etiquette today because I think it's really important. And most times when I'm training, I always ask people, do you really need that meeting? Because sometimes you spend 3 hours in a particular meeting and you have achieved absolutely nothing because somehow people, loggerheads get along, people start arguing. I begin to wonder, couldn't we have just had a telephone conversation? But anyway, whether it's a lunch meeting.
You know the way it is, Janet.
There are times.
It's better for me to sit down with you.
Yes.
And, you know, I remember when petrol prices went up.
Right.
And people said, oh, that means that we'll be having more meetings via telephone now than putting our cars on the road and driving. But
no,
it didn't go anywhere, did it?
Yes.
We still have to go to see the person face to face.
True, but I think you should make up your mind to have a face-to-face meeting when it's absolutely necessary. And sometimes you might have had a series of telephone calls before you now finally say, okay, now let's meet and seal it up. To seal it up. Because, you know, time spent going out, having the meetings too is valuable time as well. So it's really important that you know exactly why you're having that meeting. But then again, whether it is a breakfast meeting, a lunch meeting, a formal dinner meeting, a board meeting, you know, an evening meeting, whatever the meeting is, it's important to really have certain things in place before you take that meeting. And that's what I'm going to discuss today. Anytime you're having a meeting with anyone, especially if it's one, two, many people going to be in that meeting, it's very important to communicate that meeting initially to the people and tell them where the meeting is taking place, time and date. Sometimes you tell them that the meeting is going to take place at a certain date, but you've forgotten to tell them the venue and even the time. So the time is important, the venue is important, and of course the date is important. And if for any reason it has to be postponed, because sometimes it can get postponed for a reason, communicate that almost immediately. And if there's another date, tell them or let them know that another date will be communicated in the future so that they will have it in mind that that meeting has not been cancelled, it's just been postponed. All right, but then again, even when you've done that, it's more than essential to have an agenda for a meeting. Just don't go there and think things will work, you know, by the flow. You must have an agenda, and I would suggest send out that agenda to everybody who's going to be in that meeting. So you put their thought process in place. You know, this is what we're going to discuss. And in sending out the agenda, then it's very important to tell them what the meeting is about. You know, what is this meeting about? So that they even know the likely people that will be in that meeting. Right? So if it's a departmental meeting, you know, it is our department. So it is for my department. If it is a general meeting for the office, you know, it's for everyone. Okay? So at least communicate to everyone. This is what the meeting is about. Please read the following agenda for the meeting. You have something in mind that you can prepare for if indeed you want to contribute in any valuable way to the meeting. Okay, I will also say should always be minutes written down for any meeting, okay? Somebody should be chosen, clearly chosen. Don't just guess who's going to write down the minutes, but even more than that, walk into every meeting with a notepad and pen and write your own notes down. Keep your own notes for whatever it is worth. Don't just rely on the minutes. And I know most times people get minutes and they just don't take time to read the minutes. It's very important to read minutes, especially if you know that it's going to be a consecutive meeting after that. You know, some people think, oh, this is a whole lot of stuff to read. Why should I read it? Sometimes some things that are very vital in that minute are there and you're missing certain points. So it's very important to make a conscious effort to read minutes, you know, whenever they're sent out to you. I find people go to meetings and they're busy doing other things. So they're concentrating on their gadgets, an alert has come through, a text message has come through, an email has come through, and they're on the phone when they're in a meeting. So imagine if you've gone to a VIP client meeting and you're busy on your phone, it means a VIP client is not important. So you have to make sure that while you're at any meeting, you have to be very attentive.
Can you clarify on that? any meeting? It must be a VIP thing or any meeting with another human being.
I just used an example that you're in presence of a client. You've taken out time, and this client is important to you, or you're trying to make him a potential client. And while you're having that meeting, you're busy doing other things. That client is not going to take you serious. And again, the same thing goes for whomever you're having the meeting with. That person at that point in time is important. Your messages, your phone calls can definitely wait, you know, and you take care of them after. But your meeting at that point in time with whoever you are with is very vital. That moment that you've taken out time for that meeting is the moment that is the moment of time. So you can't be, yes, even if it is a well-known client or a well-known person, or even if it is in the presence of your colleagues. All right, even with your colleagues, you're having a meeting with your colleagues, or it's a social club, whatever it is, that meeting is important. Pay maximum attention to whatever is going on in that meeting at that point in time. And having said that too, your posture makes all the difference. We're talking about body language now. You can't even be slouching in the chair. You know, sometimes people are doing this in a meeting. I mean, that's very, it looks like you're bored, negative, or if they're not doing that, you know, they're busy tapping on the table, or they're constantly looking at their watch. All those are negative verbal language, body language that shows that I wish I wasn't here.
That perspective is taking his business somewhere else.
Absolutely.
I promise you.
Absolutely. So maximum attention means your posture must show. This is like body language, saying so much without saying a single word. We can read. You know, they say action speaks louder than words. So if you're attentive and someone is talking, you almost need to be nodding your head to show that indeed you're listening to what they're saying, you know, and that's very important. At that point in time, pay maximum attention. Be at the meeting at that point in time and don't be anywhere else or daydreaming.
Physically and mentally.
No, haven't you seen people dozing off in meetings? It really does happen. Having said that though, when we want you to participate in a meeting, I think a lot of listening needs to be done. More listening than even talking. With communication, it's almost 80 to 90% listening and 10 to 20% talking. That's what is really important. So as you're listening, then you can then contribute to where you think is appropriate, add your own 2 cents without arguing, of course, you know, and come across that you are trying to be contributive. You want to be productive. You want to be part of the meeting. And yes, you're interested, and whatever you are having to say also has something important to add to that meeting, you know. Communication is always key, like I said before. Again, I said take down notes. Always take down notes. Don't just rely on people that are writing the minutes at all. You know, even in meetings as well, being attentive means listen, talk, and listen, and then talk a little bit, and then keep quiet. Always pay attention. And you know, another thing, when I say listen and talk, don't talk on top of someone else. If someone is talking, give that courtesy of let the person land, let the person finish what they're saying, let the person describe what they're saying, then talk. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, you want to say something on top of someone else, you're already scattering the meeting. You're already creating an atmosphere of strife, yes, and before you know it, it blows up in your face and everybody's talking and everyone's arguing. But the onus is on the person, the chairperson, or whoever is conducting that meeting, to make sure that everybody is fully under control and take hold of that meeting. Even if you notice that people are talking too much, take full control of that meeting. It is in the hands of the person who is taking charge of that meeting to make it successful or not. That's the truth about the, meetings. Now, I want to say a little bit about dressing for a meeting. Color plays an important part when you're going for meetings. It has a psychological effect, a psychological role. There's something about dress the way you want to be addressed, and it really happens in meetings. What you wear makes a big difference. So you probably are in the, a certain industry where most times you dress casually by virtue of your, the nature of your business. But you want to go to a meeting where you're talking to some very important people who may have a big stake in your business, and they're corporate people, and maybe they're very suited and booted, all right? You want to sort of dress appropriately for them. Don't look too casual. Even if you're not a tie person, at least put a jacket on for that particular meeting. So you look a little bit more formal, you look a bit more serious, yes, and more corporate. Because people will receive you. People tend to take people that sort of fit into the cycle, fit into the circle, fit in more appropriate. So when you're dressing, dress appropriately, dress to fit in to that particular meeting. So don't go and wear jeans and something when you know that it's a business casual meeting, because you're going to be underdressed. You know, again with dressing as well, dress so that people will, you're approachable, you look authoritative, you look as if you know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to dressing. And I always say with formal meetings, it is always a long sleeve jacket. If it's very, very formal, you do need to pop on a jacket, men and women alike. If it is business casual, you don't need to wear a tie, you know, so you dress down a little bit. And I want to say to whoever is taking charge of the meeting needs to close the meeting on a very good note. Either run over certain things that were spoken about, talk about AOB, talk about action plans, and more importantly, let people know if there's going to be a follow-up meeting.
So even if it's a rowdy meeting, you have to bring yourself to end it on a...
Well, you have to stop the rowdiness first. You have to stop the rowdiness, because if the meeting goes rowdy, then you're the reason why you need to really put it under control.
If you're the chairperson.
If you're the chairperson. If you're the one running the meeting, definitely.
That's
put
a
things
tough
in
call.
check. It is a tough call. It's not easy to run a meeting. It's not easy to run a successful meeting. A successful meeting means that you're very disciplined, everyone is listening to you, everyone is keeping to time, and you're fully in control of the agenda.
Okay, Janet, let me just seek clarification here. When we're talking about meetings here, we're not just talking about formal meetings.
No.
Meeting, even one-on-one
club meetings, social meetings, even one-on-one meetings as well. They can drag forever if you don't, you know. So we've talked about something. When we've spoken a little bit about that thing, and you think, okay, you're spending too much time on that, and you still have like 5 more items on the list, you need to say, okay, you know, let's move on to the next item.
So is it possible when you're coming in for a meeting, for instance, you're about to have a meeting with your boss, to, I mean, you can't give your boss an agenda.
No.
You start from the meeting.
One-on-one meetings, no.
So you more, but have pointers, things you want to discuss.
Certainly, certainly. So with a very formal meeting, an agenda is a formal document which you send out to a lot of people. One-on-one meetings, you would have your notepad, you will have pointers that you want to discuss. Or it may even be your boss that has invited you in for the meeting, and you don't have an agenda because it's your boss. But take a note and take note of what is being discussed, because you might need to write a report, you know. But mentally have this thing written down. Now, I've seen some people say, I'm paperless. I don't like writing pen and paper. So you start seeing them writing notes on their iPad. As much as technology is great, I don't think it's a good thing in the presence of your boss. And some people don't like it as well. When you're on your gadget, it's assumed you're doing other things on your gadget, right? So pen and paper for that point in time is more ideal than saying, I'm writing my notes on my iPad or on my gadget. How fast can you be? You're going to lose track of attention, surely.
Well, there's that's arguable.
These young people who don't want to do paper at all.
That's what I'm saying. They just don't want, they're paperless. But you find some people, I've seen clients complain to say, why did that guy come in with gadget? You know, they probably even tell you to, don't you want to write it down? So no, sir, I'm writing it on my, but you know, I guess you need to understand who you're having the meeting with.
And anyway, we read a few years ago that every office's ambition should be paperless. So everything is towards a paperless office.
Yes, but you know what? Some traditional culture still stands.
So the culture of pen and paper still stands.
Yes, we cannot eradicate the pen and paper, totally.
So go to your meeting with your pen and your paper, not your iPad or your laptop.
And don't go there borrowing a pen.
Go prepared. You really can't be asking. Oh, but you're going for a meeting. You know there are some basic things you need to carry along with you. Definitely a pen. Definitely your notepad. You can certainly carry your iPad for whatever it is worth, because sometimes you might reference something in an email and you want to quickly check it up again in the course of the meeting. That's fine. Or there's a small presentation that was sent to everybody and you want to pull it up on your iPad. Yes, no problem with that. But you still need to go with those basic things, you know.
There you go. So dress appropriately.
Yes.
Go prepared.
Absolutely.
Don't talk over somebody else. Wait your turn.
Watch your body language.
And if you're the one who actually is presiding over the meeting, make sure that you control everybody.
Absolutely.
Make sure that people are not talking at the same time, and you
and
end up with a rowdy meeting.
Absolutely. And especially if you are the one, you know, in charge of the meeting, make sure that you keep to time. Some people walk into meetings fashionably late, and when you're very late for a meeting, don't even come in and say, I'm sorry, I'm late. That's a disturbance. Just quietly take your seat. Yes.
So there you go. So, should I say, there you have it. Janet Adetu,
yes.
Meeting Etiquette. I hope you've taken your notes while you were watching this, so that...
I took mine.
Yes.
Good. So you're the...
Meetings are always important, yeah.
You are the prim and proper at your next meeting. You turn up adequately dressed, and you got your pen and your paper.
But you never can tell. You might be the one presiding. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
So we'll see you in just a moment with the home stretch.